We're very excited to be with Karyn Fleck today, Karyn Fleck Counseling, and we're going to bring you a subject today that might be a little difficult for some, but really, honestly, super exciting. We're going to talk about better sex, spicy sex, intimate sex. We're going to talk about sex today, and honestly, we're going to talk a little bit about sex when we're a little older. I'm excited. I mean, I'm turning 50 this year, and you know, I think sometimes maybe it goes down a bit, and it shouldn't. So if you're listening, we hope you enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this. So Karyn, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's exciting to have someone like you in Regina, just to talk about this topic. When I first came in, we talked a little bit about, you know, who your clients were. Who do you see most in regards to relationship counseling and sex counseling?
Well, most of my clients are people that are, in a relationship. I have some people that are out of relationships that are looking for relationships, so I do a little bit of dating coaching with them. I also see people that are in traditional relationships, and also people that are in the outside of the mainstream type of relationships, whether they are in polyamorous type of relationships or swinging or some LGBTQ type of relationships, whether somebody is bisexual or gay relationships or lesbian relationships. So the whole gamut. I see people of all kinds.
Yeah, I can't. So I mean, I'm in marriage. It's been a marriage. It's been 17 years. It's good. But sometimes I think we get so caught up in our lives of kids, activities, and I get so tired, and we forget that you know, and I'm the only person that can do that for my husband or do that for my partner. How do we make sure we keep? You know, how do we keep it good? Because it shouldn't end.
You're right. The sexual thriving in a relationship should never end. And it's true, we do go into dips and times when we're more tired and times when we're more busy, times when our arousal isn't quite as high. And the research shows that actually women go into those dips a little bit sooner than men. And so what we need to do is we need to be aware that this is likely going to happen in our relationship and that we need to put a little more work into it. Like, I think one of the biggest myths is that we don't have to work on our relationship, that if we're in love, it just all happens naturally. But it might at the beginning in the bed stage, it's always lots of fun. But after a while, we do need to put a little bit of work into it. And that's why I like people to come to me before they're in a problem, before they feel like their relationship is at risk. I like them to come sooner, and then we can develop some things that they can do to keep their relationship thriving and sexual and exciting. So that's what I like to see people come for.
Wow. So let's talk about some of the things we can do. You know, maybe someone is just starting to feel this and they've dipped down a little bit, and what are some of those tips, or what can we do to keep that fresh in our lives?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that there is a difference between being in love with our partner or being sexually attracted to our partner. So there's lots of times I have people who come, I love my partner so much, but I'm just not feeling sexually attracted to them. Or you can think you're sexually attracted to somebody that you're not in love with, right? So we do need to, for a really good relationship, we want to have a good combination of both, like loving our partner and being sexually attracted to them. So some of the things that we can work on is our connection, our intimate connection that we have with each other, and then also some sexual things that we can do with them.
And I think people think when we say intimate connection, that's not that's all part of sex, but it's the little things you do in a day, is it?
It can be the little things you do, and it's presence.
Mm-hmm.
It's always being present with your partner. If your partner starts talking to you about something, put what you're doing down and look at them. Eye contact is amazing. It's so important. And we get busy. We're doing things. We're busy with the kids. We're doing something else, and we're listening to our partner, and we're going yeah. But we need to stop and look at them. And one of the tools that I teach partners in communication mostly is, first of all, is the presence and paying attention, using good eye contact, but also doing some mirroring. So when your partner is telling you something, mirror back to them what they're saying, because if you just say, yeah, I heard you, they don't really feel heard. It's a lot about how the person that you're listening to feels about your response to them. So if you can mirror back and just say, so what I hear you saying is, and say it back to them, and they'll be like, yes, he heard me. Yes, she heard me. I get that. And then the other two things I would say for sure is empathizing, like really focus on the emotion that the person is sharing with you, and validate their feelings. Even if you don't agree with them, even if they're saying something that totally contradicts what you believe, they are still valid for what they're saying, and make sure you let them know that you validate what they're saying.
Good. When we were talking earlier, you talked a little about the lack of arousal, the lack of desire. I don't know if you can touch a little bit on that. And
Yeah, so it's very common for people to go into dips of their arousal. And what ends up happening, quite often it's women who dip in their arousal first, which we traditionally, typically in our society, we don't really recognize that. But when a woman does, what they end up doing is providing what we call service sex. And service sex is that they just give sex to their partner because they care about them and they want them to feel good. And that does some damage to our spirit. So I recommend that people don't do service sex, that they come up with some other types of intimacy building ideas that doesn't include intercourse, to build that intimacy back again, so that when they can rebuild that arousal, then they'll be ready for it again.
I think I think, like I'm talking from experience or something, it's the conversation. When you start to lose the intimacy, or you start to, maybe there's a lack of communication, I think some people are there and they don't know how to start the conversation about sex again. And you know what, they've been married 20 years and something happened, sputtered out, but we don't know where to start.
You're right. So just like start talking about it. Just say like, I saw this blog, or I saw this on TV, or I saw this, and like, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about like what we can do to help increase our intimacy? And I think people are afraid that their partner is going to feel defensive, or their partner is going to feel hurt because of what you're going through. And I think if they just understand that it's normal, that people are not broken, there's not something wrong with them. And honestly, just because you're going through menopause or because you're a little bit older in life doesn't mean that you can't be aroused, that you can be. But definitely, if you are seeing a change in your body and something is different going on and it is affecting your sexuality, go see your doctor first. Make sure that everything is good with your physical health. And then if the doctor gives you the approval, then you can start working on ways that you can rebuild that arousal.
I was recently at a family life conference, and so it was a marriage retreat, and she was probably 70 years old, and she just said, I'm having the best sex of my life. And besides turning red and going, okay, you're like my la la la, she was, and her husband, they took the steps to ensure, because I think we think we're done that part of our, we see it in the movies, it's all hot, and now we're done that. We're not done.
No, and it's so important for your mental well-being. It's important for your physical well-being. It's important for your relationship. Not that if you can't, that that there's something wrong with you or something wrong with your relationship, but there are ways that you can be intimate, that even if there is a medical problem, that you can bypass that and you can still be intimate. It doesn't have to be genital on genital contact.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, it's about the communication and the contact between you. Close on. It's just spending time with each other. If your phone rings, do you find that, is it more women or men talking to you about sex, or is it both?
It is both, but honestly, I do get more men coming forward and saying, I want to have a thriving sexual relationship with my wife, and I feel that there's something going on, and I want to deal with it. So I do get more men more interested in doing this part of the counseling. But then once the women get in, I think they're quite happy to be open about it and address it, because they don't want to live like that. They want to be thriving. We all have like this core inside of us that really is sexual, and we've stuffed it and hid it, and so be given permission to be open about it and talk about it is a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think opening the doors to communication, which you might be the first step. You know what? Give for all the viewers watching, if you are experiencing this and you're like, I want to get, me and my husband or my partner, we want to be better at this. You talked about Zoom, you talked about Skype, so we don't even actually have to make it to your office. We can do this on the computer and just have that conversation and start with you?
Right. I provide counseling via Zoom, so I have clients from all over the world that I provide one-on-one counseling with, or couple counseling with, and it's a really fantastic way of providing the service, because people don't have to leave their house, and they can have that comfort of their home. If they are a little embarrassed or shy about it, don't want to be seen out with that focus, then it's a really beautiful way.
Good. Thank you for taking the time just to talk to us and just maybe share a little content with our viewers on how we can be better.
Oh, and thank you so much for bringing this topic out.
This is great. Well, that's Karyn Fleck of Karyn Fleck Counseling here in Regina, but as Karyn mentioned, she does counseling over Zoom, over Skype, and if you are having, a little downtime with your partner and you just want add a little something, consider some of the things Karyn said to us. There's a great start, and there's lots of books out there, but Karyn can help you too. So, hey, better sex.